Well, you guys, I've been waiting so long to make this video. It's finally come. It's time to reveal what my secret budget project is. And you may have seen it by now, but it's a Landcruiser. So I had hinted on what it was, that it was a Toyota. And I'll tell you a little background story here. So the idea came about that I wanted to get a budget vehicle. And when I mean budget, I mean something that most people could acquire. Something under $10,000. Really, my initial goal was $5,000. Now, I did find a lot of $5,000 four-wheel drive vehicles, but they were mostly like the crossover type, the smaller, not SUV wagon size or full-size truck, but like the Jeep Liberties and things like that. A lot of smaller vehicles. And most of them had a ton of mileage, small engines, and they were, 15 to 20 years old. A lot of that put together, I didn't want to take the risk on that. So something like this, I found this, and so it was a little bit more, 8,000. So it was still well under the 10, which gives me room to add some modifications like roof rack. I need to get better tires. These are those type of highway tires, and I'm out here on some pretty nasty rocks up in the forest, and it's a little scary because I'm pretty far out. I haven't ran a vehicle that didn't have at minimum all-terrain tires in a long time. So why I went with this and ended up putting a little bit more into the budget? Well, number one, it's a Toyota, right? So Toyotas are known to be very reliable and have long lifespans. This is also a V8. So a V8 engine really depends on the driver, but traditionally they're not revving as high. They're kind of just, going through their motions. So I have a lot of faith in a V8. Plus, it's synonymous. The Landcruiser is known for, adventuring, touring, off-roading, overlanding, that type of thing. So it all kind of came together, and it ended up being really good because this was an older gentleman. He was the original owner. He bought it brand new in 2005, and he never off-roaded it. So he was like an engineer or something, and he drove it a lot. It's got over 300,000 miles, not kilometers, miles. So that's a lot. You could do the math. 300,000 miles, I don't know. That's probably close to 500,000 kilometers. And a lot of people are looking in their diesel engines to get 500,000 kilometers out of it, and they're happy with it. Well, I'm just getting started with this thing at 300,000 miles. So I think that's pretty good. One other thing was, once I decided, there was a lot of variables that went into this stuff, and some small things was something like this. I like tailgates. I'm a truck guy. I like tailgates. That's the one thing I don't like about the Jeep, is that it swings open, and you're kind of knees up against the bumper trying to get to your stuff. And there's, to sit in there, you get the dirt off the bumper all over your butt, the back of your legs. And a lot of vehicles like, I believe 4Runners, a lot of them have the hatches that open all the way. Well, the Landcruiser, you've got this, whatever you'd call this, the split door design. kind of a, not split this way, but split this way, and look, it's a tailgate. So you can sit right on here. Now, some may say, well, it's harder to get access to your stuff, which is true. You have to reach and lean, and that's why a lot of people put drawer systems in here where the drawers come right up to the edge here, and when you pull them out, then you have easy access. Or the people that run like refrigerators in here, and they slide out so you get easy access. You're not ever really reaching in. But this is it. It's a 2006 Toyota Landcruiser. Now this thing has got, it runs in four-wheel drive all the time, in 4-high. It's got a center diff locker, and then you can shift the transfer case down into 4-low. Open differentials, this center diff locker, I think, and I'm not 100% sure on this yet, but I think what it does is basically takes it from an all-wheel drive setup, which is how it runs in 4-high, to a 4-wheel drive setup, meaning you engage that, it locks the transfer case and actually is sending equal power to both the front and rear, but it doesn't have diff lockers at the axles. So you still may spin. Now, they do have variable traction control systems on these, which assist. All that does is instead of mechanically locking the wheels, it'll apply brakes. Now, I'm not sure about this, but most traction control systems, if they see a wheel spinning, what it'll do is it'll apply the brakes just to that wheel to slow it down so the other one can get traction. I'd rather have diff lockers, to be honest with you, but a traction control system in a 4-wheel drive, not an all-wheel drive, a 4-wheel drive, actually can get you most places. It does a pretty good job over things. And so that's what this has got. And it also has a, and I wish it didn't have this, because a lot of them leading up to this didn't have this system, only the Lexus. So this is the same as the Lexus 470, I think it is. So they're the same vehicle. One's Toyota, one's Lexus, same vehicle. And I think most of the Lexus has this, it's a auto height control. So you can raise and lower the thing. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this, this auto height control system this has got. Is that crazy or what? Look at the difference. Look at the difference in the from the top of the tire to the wheel wells. So I think a lot of people take this system off because it fails and it's kind of expensive to rebuild or repair. The thing about this, since the previous owner never used it, now when you drive and say you stop at a stoplight, it will auto level. It's got height sensors and stuff, but it doesn't lift it like this. This is where you would lift it to do some off-roading. But I think a lift about that, if I could have it that high and put like 33-inch tires on this thing would be awesome. And it's got, the way it does it, it's actually hydraulics. It's got this huge system that spaghetti's all over the vehicle. Under the hood, it's got a hydraulic pump and tank and lines that go underneath. Along the frame rails, basically kind of by each wheel, but still more centered on the vehicle, are these big globe valves that have nitrogen on one side and hydraulic on the other. And they actually are, that's kind of a balancing system, but the shocks are like hydraulic and it pumps them and raises and lowers the vehicle. Now, if you have it set to normal, which is where I run it, because if you set it to high and you raise it up, it'll only stay there until 20 miles an hour, and it's pretty rough. The downside is I can't just put a suspension on here. I would have to tear all that stuff off. You have to take it all off because the shock is part of it. You know, it's got hydraulic lines. I can't put sliders on it because of the globe valves. Now, most people tear this system off. especially since it's, you know, it's 15 years old. So hopefully this system lasts. It seems to do okay through here. It's just really about ground clearance is my only concern. If I do go to all-terrain tires and put a little bit bigger diameter tire on there, I don't want it to rub or hit. These are only about 29-inch, just under 30-inch tires. So they're pretty small, and they're highway tires. But this thing's super comfortable to drive. It's my first Toyota I've ever owned. So if you guys are Toyota owners out there, if you have a lot of experience with, you know, 4Runners, Tacomas, Tundras, this thing, Landcruisers, and you know some good places to look for stuff, bumpers, all that kind of stuff, let me know down in the comments, because look, I've had trucks all my life, mostly Ford trucks, and got the Jeep and things like that. So I'm real experienced when it comes to aftermarket goodies for that stuff. But with the Toyotas, I'm not real experienced. Actually, I have no experience at all because this is my first one. But I gotta tell you, I really enjoy it. I nicknamed it the Hippo. I nicknamed this thing the Hippo because from the back, it's kind of big and fat, right? And from the side, it looks like a big, huge, fat, kind of soccer mom vehicle. But inside, the hood, the way it's designed, like in the Raptor and the Jeep, man, you can barely see over this gigantic hood. Same thing with the Rebel. It's got the raised part there for the cooling. These hoods are huge, and you can't see maybe till about 20 feet out in front of your vehicle. Where this, the only way I can describe it is kind of like that Mercedes G-Wagon or the Land Rovers, where you're sitting up kind of high and the hood is low. Same thing in this. I can see down maybe 5 feet in front of the vehicle. It's really good. That makes it a really good off-road machine because you can pick your track if you're by yourself and you don't have someone kind of spotting your tires through. So that works really well. Point is, I call it the Hippo because it looks really big from the outside. When you get in it, it feels like a small, nimble vehicle. You know, I'm a decent sized dude and I'm comfortable in there, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's too small. What I'm saying is it feels small. The feeling that you want when it comes to being nimble off-road. So it feels small, but from the outside it looks big. And you know, there's a lot of room here to pack. This is the second row seats in there. You know, you can take those seats out. They just fold forward and then come out. And then I've got another 3 feet of space in here. But I don't want to get to the point where I overload it. Right now it's empty. It doesn't have heavy bumpers or sliders or long range fuel tanks or roof rack or any of that kind of stuff, which would add a lot of weight to it. And being as light as it is right now, that's why it's doing so well over these tracks out here. It's pretty wild. You know, the thing, I'm on an awesome track here. It goes up and down. But I look at it on the camera, man, it looks like it flattens it out. It kind of sucks. The whole idea is to share these experiences with you guys to let you know just how like really cool these tracks are. But if it looks flat, you're like, oh, that's what I could do that in my Toyota Corolla. Like I'm going straight down the hill right now. This part's not rocky, but coming up here, it's crazy. But man, having a lot of fun in this, right? So if you've never had a four-wheel drive, and say you had your own four-wheel drive, and you know everything about that thing, and maybe it's pretty aggressive, and you really womp the hell out of it. Then you get to drive someone else's four-wheel drive, and you're like, whoa, this is cool in a different way, right? It's like driving a dirt bike and then driving like a Harley, right? They're both two-wheeled motorcycles, but you ride them completely different. There's some big boulders through here. I got some footage of me coming up this area earlier, but I made some pretty nasty marks on the sidewalls of these highway tires, and I'm actually a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I was gonna continue this track, which is about a 30-mile track of stuff just like this, and I'm not willing to push these tires. I'm gonna go and use some engine brake for this because, oh shoot. The vehicle, I have a lot of confidence already in this vehicle as far as its capabilities and abilities off-road. The four-wheel drive system works really good. there's a lot of options for, oh geez, oh, this is nasty. Hold on, I got some like rocks that are bigger than me here. Oh, so I've you know, even on my two-wheel drive Ford Ranger, which was, you know, I had a little lift on it or whatever, not that big of a deal, but had a little lift on it. Even on that, I had all-terrain tires, and you know, on my work trucks, I used all-terrain tires because, and it was a four-wheel drive with that EcoBoost twin turbo in it. Thing is awesome. That's why it was the same year, just a year newer than my Raptor when I had it, and I love that truck. So the inside of the Raptor, you know, reminds me completely of that truck, and it's super fun. But in all my trucks, I've always had all-terrain tires. So when we go, you know, even when working, we had to go off-road a lot, you know, oil fields, different things like that. But with this, it's got highway tires on. Like I said, the previous owner never off-roaded the thing, so why would he have, you know, he'd have the smoothest running tires for long trips on the highway, which not very good out here. Now they're Bridgestones. They look tough, but there's not that extra rubber and stuff on the sidewall, which is what concerns me. So I'm gonna shorten this trip up and go back, because I am out pretty far by myself here. And there's one spare underneath. I haven't really looked at it, but I'm sure it's okay. But a place like this, a trail like this, you could easily knock out 2 tires. Easily. Like even on the same rock. Pop, pop. I've seen it happen before. The vehicle is super fun. I get why people enjoy these Toyotas, right? I do, I get it. I mean, it would be just like, if it wasn't about the branding, you know, it would be like off-roading your Ranger or something like that, which I did before. You know, going to the Jeep from pickup trucks over all the years was pretty wild. It was almost like, you know, you have to go to the most aggressive places if you really want to challenge yourself, because these types of trails, I think any vehicle that has, you know, 37-inch tires and is got twin lockers on it is going to go over almost everything. You have to go do like rock crawling, and I mean, I'm not against it, but I love adventuring, and you know, I like going fast, going slow, tough terrain, you know, easy terrain. Just the ever-changing terrain is really fun to me. So with this thing up in high, as far as the height control goes, it's pretty rough ride. It's pretty rough ride, because remember, it's hydraulics just jacking the thing up in the air. So it's pretty rough. Now, when it's in what they call there's a low, a neutral, and a high. When it's in neutral, which is where I have it all the time driving, it's actually very smooth, you know, really, really smooth. But you got to go slower, right? You definitely want to go slower when you're lower to the ground. It puts all your undercarriage back down low. You can solve a little bit with that with bigger tires. But again, if I want to lift this thing, I'm gonna have to tear all that. What do they call it? It's AHC, automatic or active. I don't know if it's automatic height control or active height control. I think it's automatic. But in here I've got a height control lockout, like to turn it off. So if it's in neutral, it won't kind of adjust at every stoplight. I've got a comfort switch with 4 settings from comfort to sport. And then I've got a toggle that raises from low, neutral to high. It's cool, it's interesting, but the more adventuring and off-roading you do, the more you want a traditional suspension. This is kind of for those, probably the people who 99% of the time, you know, are going to Walmart and to Sprouts, you know, going to the soccer field. And then, you know, on the weekend, someone wants to take it out and you know, go camping. That's what this height control would be good for. But if you're going to do a lot of stuff like me, you want a more traditional off-road suspension. And they're actually, I've looked into them. They're not nearly as expensive as, you know, what I've obviously for the Jeep and the Raptor. Those are probably two of the most expensive type of suspensions you could do. But for something like this, it's more traditional, in line with you know, regular pickup trucks and things like that. You could spend anywhere from $600 to $1,200 on one. A lot of old man emu stuff. There's some sway away bars out there. There's a couple different, I think Iron Man, so, you know, some stuff out of Australia, the ARB. So you have some options. So the price of that stuff isn't expensive. The problem is tearing off all this hydraulic automatic height control system. I mean, I could honestly do it in probably one day. Here's the problem: when you tear it off, you can't move it. So you got to have your suspension ready to go to put back in, because the thing will collapse on itself. So that's something to keep in mind. Going to the car wash. Alright, so back at home after getting it washed, it was pretty dirty. This is what it looks like when it's ready to go to the Walmart parking lot or to soccer practice. It's all nice and clean. Somebody's mowing their lawn. So we're going to take a quick look at the inside, see what it looks like. There's the Rebel over there chilling. So you saw the far back. It's the back seats here. These they fold down and they fold all the way out. So they can fold down flat like that. And they can also fold forward, and then you can pull them all the way out. It's like a kind of a light gray, tan, light gray to beige leather. And then here is inside. So we've got navigation screen here. It actually looks better right now than it does when it's working. It's very dim. It's very old school. It's very 2006. But it does have a backup camera on it, which, I mean, if you're not wearing your polarized sunglasses, you can see it. It's got this weird kind of bluish gray colored marbling going on. And look, if you ever want to whip out a cassette tape, oh, and then in here, this is where it's got like a disc changer. It takes up this, kind of takes up this whole place here, but it's got a disc changer, 12-volt outlet in there. Then it's got another little area. Okay, so we've got, it runs in 4 high. It runs in 4 high, and you have the ability then to put it into 4 low. It's got heated seats. I don't even know if these work. I haven't tried these things. I don't think they work, because that one was on high, unless unless it was heating my seat up. I don't like necessarily heated seats. I like air conditioned seats, but my better half likes the heated seats even if it's 100 degrees out, which it's cooled down to about 95 now. So we over here, this is the switch here. See if I can focus on it. The top switch is like the ride control, like it goes from comfort to sport. That middle button where it says off, that's to lock out the active leveling system. And then this toggle here is to go from the neutral position to low or to high. And then this is like it's something to do with, like, if you're stuck in the mud and you would do a second gear start, a power start. That's what that is. I need to read into that. But, you know, the Everything else is pretty much, I mean, it's nice. It's really nice. But that's the cluster, the instrument cluster, nothing fantastic. And then the seat, that's pretty much the only rip in it, in the leather right there. And I probably did that with my big butt. But it's got all the normal stuff like, oh, and here is the center diff lock. So this is what makes it from, you know, basically an all-wheel drive to a four-wheel drive. You lock that out and it's going to put power to the front and rear at the same time. Figure I'd give you guys a look inside the engine bay now. It's pretty filthy because when you get it washed, they don't wash in here, and I've been doing a lot of off-roading. But the normal battery sits there, and that whole system right there, all this whole thing right there is that hydraulics. That's the hydraulic motor down there. So if you don't have that system, there's companies that sell a battery holder. You can put a battery tray and also like an ARB air compressor combo right there, because there's actually a lot of room here. I think you just have to relocate this power steering fluid, and this whole area you get a battery and an air compressor you can put there. But I'll look into that if let me double check that. That says, yeah, suspension fluid is what the cap says there, suspension fluid. I thought maybe this was it over here, but man, look at that. Look at that ABS system there. So you see all the different lines coming off of it and the different motors and stuff. That's what you need when you do traction control. It needs to be able to operate each wheel individually. So this engine is this. It's the 2UZ FE. It's it's got the 2006, 2007. They added more horsepower than the previous years in the V8. It does pretty good. It does pretty good. And it's had the water pump and timing belt changed, I think, a few times. See, they even have a, well, you can't see it. It says timing belt replacement maintenance record. So apparently that's the main thing you got to look out for with these engines is timing belts and water pumps, from what I'm told. And this one's been changed, I think, maybe every 150,000 or something. It's been done twice, and we're over 300,000 now. So that's what the engine bay looks like. That's the front. Some of these say Toyota, some have the Toyota like this. This is what it looks like. And then the lights are a little hazy, but I'm going to work on that with some of that fancy polish you can get from the auto parts store. So I got to the end of the video editing it here and realized that I didn't do any closing thoughts or close out the video. So I know it was a long video. If you guys made it to the end, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was all over the place. So I had some footage from over a 3-day period, really. I went to 3 different places to try and get some aggressive terrain, and it just didn't really show up on the camera that good. It looked like I was driving through South Africa on the flat plains. Some of that beginning footage really looked like South Africa. And I broke out the drone for the first time in like 4 years. I had to put a little duct tape on it. I hate drones. I don't think I'm ever gonna use them again. I really hate drones, but I don't know, tried it out. So to close out, I think I covered, all the points for like a reveal video, the basics. We're obviously going to go deeper into this in many more videos, adventuring with it and all that kind of stuff. What are we going to do to it? I definitely need to get some, at minimum, all-terrain tires. I know I said in the video a lot about all-terrains, but I mean, I use mud terrains on the Jeep, but what I meant was off-road tires, period. And how many times did I say vehicle in that video? And why was I saying vehicle? Like really enunciating the hickle. Vehicle, the vehicle, the vehicle, the vehicle. Watching it back and editing it, oh my God, I think I said it like 1,000 times. And like, what accent is that? Who pronounces it that way? So if you guys caught on to that, good on you. But the exciting thing for me with this is, if you're like me and you're not a brand loyalist, now we have multiple vehicles that we can enjoy on this channel and on my cooperative channel, Can We Survive? That's where my buddy Niels is going to come down here. He'll be driving a vehicle, and I just said vehicle again. He'll be driving a car. I'll be driving a car or truck. That's why I say vehicle, because you don't say car, truck, Landcruiser, Jeep, Raptor, whatever. So if you're not brand loyalist like me, you're going to find all kinds of interesting stuff. If you are kind of brand loyalist, well, if you're into Toyota, there's a place for you here. If you're into Jeeps, there's a place for you here. If you're into trucks, there's a place for you here. So I think we got it rounded, pretty well rounded now. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun if you plan your budget, right? Obviously, you don't want to go crazy and drain the bank and all of a sudden you got no money, and what are you going to do now? So I'm being careful. I think I got a pretty good deal price-wise on I almost said it again. On a Landcruiser that's 15 years old and in really good condition for being that old. It runs great, the drivetrain, everything. So I'm really excited about that. And if you have made it to the end of the video and you're a Toyota owner, again, I'm reaching out to you all out there to maybe give me some ideas of places to look for Toyota parts, right? Because I found that, well, they might be at the same places where I found stuff for my Jeeps. For the Jeep, I just wasn't looking for it before. But I find this 100 series is kind of a weird area. You know, they a lot of 200 series, which is the current model year, but 98 through 2007 was that 100 series. It's a little bit harder to find stuff for that. Kind of interesting because it's a weird anomaly, I guess. But either way, I'm really excited. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about it. You know, some of you have been following along, know that it was going to do some budget thing and that it was a Toyota, and now you know. So definitely let me know down below what you guys think. Share your thoughts, ideas, anything. I'm looking forward to getting into some real adventures with this, and it should be fun. So that being said, you guys, I know that was a mixed match of stuff, but hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.